You all to this classes. So we are in the chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, and we saw previously how Arjuna was reluctant to fight in the war because he had a few arguments about it. And what were these arguments which Arjuna put it? The first argument was of compassion. So Arjuna was thinking, how can he fight against his own relatives, his own teacher, his own grandfather? And the second argument was loss of enjoyment. The third argument was fear of sinful activities. And then the fourth argument was destruction of the family tradition. So in this particular section, Krishna is trying to refute Arjuna's argument on compassion. So out of compassion, we saw in the beginning of the second chapter, Arjuna's eyes was filled with tears. He did not know what to do, and his confusion went on a totally indecisive mood. Arjuna did not know what to do and what not to do. At that point, Arjuna, he surrendered himself to Krishna. He accepted Krishna as a spiritual master. Yes, Shreyasya nichitam bruhitan me shishyasya aham shadi mam pam prapannam. Because he wants to know what is Shreyas means, that which is good for us for a long term. So generally, people, we have the tendency of looking things only at the current situation. We just want to fix instantly. If we are sad now or if we are in a morose mode, we just want to know what can we do right now to fix it. So Arjuna knows that the current situation, he is not able to understand what is good and what is bad for him. So he is asking Krishna, please tell me what is good for me in the long term. So a guru is the one who can guide us towards the real goal of the life. And what should be the goal of the human form of life? To go back home, go to come out of the cycle of the repeated birth and death. So now Krishna, as a guru, started speaking from sloka number 11. And here Krishna starts speaking about the qualities and the characteristics of the soul. So as soon as Krishna took the position of the guru, he immediately chastised Arjuna, saying that you are talking like a pandita, but actually you are a fool because you are in a bodily platform. You're worrying for something that is temporary. So a pandita is a one who sees everyone in an equal vision, whether it is a brahmana, whether it is a shudra, whether it is a dog, or whether it is a elephant, or whether it is a dog eater. A pandita sees everybody in an equal vision. On what platform? Because he sees the spiritual soul in all the living entity, because all the jivas are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We may have different dress, but ultimately the soul is a part and parcel of the Lord. And then Krishna also speaks about the individuality of the soul. So Mayavadis generally think that, as long as we have the body, we are separated. And once we leave the body, we get liberated and become one with the God, which means we lose our individual identity. For that, Krishna says that, his grandfather and his teacher, they will remain as an individual. Their individuality will not be lost. And he's also giving a beautiful analogy. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara prapte dhirastatrana mukhyati. Within the same lifetime, we see that the body is keep on changing. It is not the same. So similarly, at the time of the death, what happens? The soul is just going to change into entirely a different body. But the change of the body will always be there. It is not that the body is not changing. Even within the current life, the body is changing. So does the body changes at the time of the death. But here, why Arjuna should not get worried? Because Bhishma and Drona, they are all noble souls. And when they lay their life in the battlefield, either they may go to the higher planetary system or they may go to spiritual planet. So either way, they are going to get better opportunity in the next life. So Arjuna does not have to worry. But what does Arjuna say? I am attached to their current bodies. So for that, Krishna is saying, Matra Sparshasta Kaunteya, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhata, Agama Apayino Anitya Tamtiti Shashva Bharata. Just as a season changes, sometimes it is winter, sometimes it is summer. Similarly, we are also sometimes in happiness and sometimes in distress, but these changes are temporary. Therefore, one should learn to tolerate. We are not going to be happy forever, or we are not going to be sad forever. Everything is going to be temporary. Therefore, Arjuna should learn to tolerate, because sometimes it's difficult for us to go through things. But at that position, what we should do, we should learn to tolerate. And in the next sloka, Krishna is talking about the qualities of our liberation. What is a quality? If you want to get liberated, the first quality is sama dukkha sukha. So whether we are happy, whether we are sad, we should be able to take it in a same way. We should not be too elated when we are happy, or we should not be too distressed when we are sad. We should be able to take it up in an equal way. So that is the first eligibility for getting liberated. And Krishna is further talking about the qualities of the soul, saying that the body is temporary, the soul is eternal, and this particular fact, whether somebody is an impersonalist or somebody is a devotee, both of them accept that. And in the next sloka, Krishna is talking about what is the soul, is the one which is pervading all over the body, which is easily understood. As long as the soul is there, there is consciousness. Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. Soul cannot be seen. Why soul cannot be seen? What is the size of the soul?
100 lakh.
1 by 10,000 times of the tip of the hair.
Tip of the hair.
So it is very, very small that none of the material instruments can really able to see that. So soul is present even within the atom. The scientists can't even see the atom. They say that atom is invisible. And soul is present even within the atom. Then how can we see the soul? Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarasam. In Brahma Samhita, Brahmaji says that the soul is present in each and every, Krishna is present in each and every atom. So, and there are two types of souls, two kinds of souls present within our body. What are the two souls?
Atma and Paramatma.
Atma and Paramatma. So, along with us, Krishna is always there with us. Everybody else can leave us and go, but Krishna will never leave us. No matter whatever body you take, even if you're taking a dog's body next life, Krishna will be still with us. He is, because Sukritam Sarva Bhutanam. He is a well-wisher of all the living entity. It is not that Krishna is punishing us by giving that body. If our desires or having the propensity like that of a dog, having a human form of life, then in next lifetime, Krishna will give us the dog's body, so that in that body, we can enjoy our senses and our propensity much. So it is not that Krishna is punishing us by putting in different bodies, whereas Krishna is helping us to enjoy our propensity, like enjoy our desires. So according to our desires and according to our karma, we keep changing our bodies. And in the following sloka, Krishna is further talking about the qualities of the soul. That soul is indestructible. This is a sloka which we will see in depth in today's class. That soul is indestructible. This particular point, Krishna is further elaborating in the sloka number 23. We will see that today. And then immeasurable, we saw, because the size of the soul is so small that we cannot measure. And eternal, Sanatana. Krishna is Sanatana. Mamaivamsho Jivaloki Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manashishtani Indriyani Prakristani Karshati. So are we, because we are also part and parcel of Krishna. So we are also Sanatana, whereas the body is the one which is temporary. There is 6 transformation of the body. What are the 6 transformation of the body?
Childhood.
First, the child, first birth, and then growth, and then the child remains for some times, and then reproduces, dwindles, and vanishes. But does the soul undergo any of these changes?
No.
Remains the same.
This change is only for our body. So the soul does not undergo any such changes. And in the next sloka, Krishna is saying that the body can be slayed, but the soul can never be slayed. None of the instruments, material instruments or any instruments can destroy this soul. Therefore, Arjuna should understand that even though he might have to kill his own relatives and his own teachers, but actually speaking, he cannot really kill anyone. And that doesn't mean that anyone can kill anyone, saying that the soul cannot be killed, but only those authorized people are allowed to kill. Like, who are the authorized people? Like, in today's world, we can say people in the army, that too when they are in the battle. Just because somebody is in army doesn't mean that he can kill his neighbor, right? So for example, judge can give a death sentence. So only those people who are having authority, they can kill the people. And by doing so, you're not getting any sinful reactions. And for the soul, there is no birth or there is no death. When we say that there is no death, that means that that means that there is no birth also. He has come into the being, and he has not come into the being and does not come into the being and will not come into the being. So, na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul cannot be slain, whereas the body can be slain, but the soul can never be slain. And then we saw that Krishna is again talking about the qualities of the soul. Again and again, he is telling Arjuna the qualities of the soul, that the soul is indestructible, the soul is eternal, and it is unborn. Ajo, Krishna is also Aja. We being part and parcel of Krishna are also Aja and also immutable. And in the next sloka, Krishna speaks about the analogy of changing the garments. When our old cloth, when our garment become old or torn, what do? We buy a new garment. And how do we buy a new garment? Based on our budget and based on our desires, based on our taste, we buy the new garments. So similarly, based on our desires and based on the karma, the soul leaves one body and takes another body. This body is nothing but a dress. Okay. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani gridnati naro parani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. As a person puts on the new garments, giving up the old one, the soul similarly accepts the new material bodies, giving up the old and the useless ones. Okay, so we'll move to the today's sloka. Nainam chintanti shastrani.
Nainam chintanti shastrani.
Nainam dahati pavakaha.
Nainam dahati pavakaha.
Na chainam kledayantyapo.
Na chainam kledanti appavu.
Na soshayati maruta.
Na sayo yasati maruta.
Nainam chintanti shastrani.
Nainam chintanti shastrani.
Nainam dahati pavakaha.
Nainam dahati pavakaha.
Na chainam kledayantyapo.
Na chainam kleyanti yapo.
Na shoshayati maruta.
Na shoshayati marutaha.
Nainam chintanti shastrani.
Nainam chintanti shastrani.
Nainam dahati pavakaha.
Nainam dahati pavakaha.
Na chainam kledayantyapo.
Na chainam kledanti antpahu.
Na soshayati maruta.
Na shoyashati marutaha.
Would like to do this sloka?
I can do
I'll
that.
do.
Any one of you, please do. Yeah.
Nainam chindanti shastrani.
Nainam
नैनं
chintante
चिन्तन्ति
shastrani.
शस्त्राणि
Nainam dahati pavakah.
Nainam
नैनं
dahati
दहति पावकः
pavakah.
Na chainam kletayantyapo.
Na
न
chainam
चैतं कृत्य
kledayantyapo.
पापो
Na shoshyati marutah.
Na
न
shoshayati
शोषयति
marutah.
मारुतः
The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind.
Thank you, Mataji. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamiti Namini. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here Krishna is talking about that how the soul is indestructible. Generally, if we want to kill a particular person, either we may use the weapon or the fire can kill a person, or when a person gets drowned, he will be killed, or due to the heavy winds, like when there is heavy storms, tornadoes and other things can kill the person. But what about the soul? Can any of these things like weapons, fire or water or wind, will it be able to do any harm to the soul? The soul cannot be harmed at all. Okay, by using the weapons, when you have a knife, what do? You use a knife to cut some things, right? So, can we cut the soul?
The soul is indestructible.
Soul is always there. So, like Mayavadi's philosophy, they say that, everything was one and then we became separate. So, when everything was one and when something gets separated, how does it get separated? If you want to cut a paper, if you want two papers out of one paper, what will you do?
Cut it.
You have to cut it, right? So similarly, if everything is one, then how it became many? Unless otherwise it is cut, right? So here also we can see that how the Mayavad philosophy is refuted, because soul is always there. Like Krishna is always there. Krishna is also Ajo and we are also Aja. Like our fingers or the part and parcel of our body. So right from the birth, our fingers are with us. Did it so happen that our fingers developed after a few years of our lifetime?
No.
No, it was always there. So similarly, we are also there. Krishna is also there, but Krishna is also Sanatana and we are also Sanatana. That's what Krishna says. Mamaivamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta Sanatana. We are all Sanatan means, what does Sanatan means? Eternal. And when we say that Sanatan Dharma, that doesn't mean that it is only for Hindus. Every living entity is Sanatana. So if we are just saying that Sanatan means only for Hindus, that is also wrong. Because Hindu Dharma is talking about this Sanatan thing, that about the permanence, eternity of the soul, that's all. But this Sanatan is applicable for all the living entities, right? Every living entity is born. Every living entity is growing. Every living entity is reproducing. Every living entity is dwindling. Every living entity is dying. So is that only the people who are Hindus, they are born? And all these changes happening only for us? No. So this Sanatan is a term which means it is eternal and not burned by the fire. So even if somebody, at the time of the death, we burn the body, so which means the gross body is being burnt and that is being destroyed because it is made up of matter. But what about our soul? Our soul cannot be destroyed. because our soul will enter another body with the help of our, what is the one which carries the soul from one body to another? The subtle body. The intelligence, mind, and false ego, they are our subtle body. As long as we do not purify our intelligence, as long as we don't purify our mind, as long as we are not coming out of our false ego, then we have to keep changing our bodies. So changing the body is inevitable, but one may choose to have another material body or to get a spiritual body. Even in the Vaikuntha planets or Goloka planets, when we get liberated, every living entity, we have our own forms. Our real Swarupa is packed inside our soul. So our individuality and will always be remaining and not moistened by the water. Soul cannot do, it cannot be made soluble in the water. Like for example, if you put sugar in the water, what will happen to the sugar?
Dissolves.
The sugar
It will
will get
dissolve.
completely dissolved in the water, right? But the soul cannot get dissolved. Such thing cannot happen. And not withered by the wind. So when there is a heavy wind, what happens? It uproots trees and even some homes, some roofs and many things, right? It gets uprooted. Even if a person in the hurricane time, do you see any people walking in the hurricane in the roads?
No.
What will happen if you're going in the heavy storm or hurricanes like that? Even you will be blown away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very strong wind. I personally witnessed a hurricane when I was living in the West. And the wind was so strong that even little bit, if you're opening the door, na, you can see the strength of the wind. And literally the wind, it just cracked one of the glasses in one of the houses. You can just see that. The trees, so many trees were uprooted because the wind can be very strong, right? So these are the things that can actually cause destruction to us, but these are only for the body, not for the soul. Okay, so soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapons. Soul cannot be moistened by water. Soul cannot be burned by fire or can be withered by the wind. So who wants to read this?
Mataji,
Please.
weapons cannot kill the soul. All kinds of weapons, that is swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc., are unable to kill the spirit soul.
Today we have most of the weapons are based on fire. But early days, like if you have read Mahabharata and everything, we see that they have different types of weapons. Some of the weapons can cause rains, some of the weapons can cause tornadoes, and some of the weapons can cause hurricanes. Like that, the weapons is not only the fire weapons. There were different types of weapons in the early days, which is almost non-understandable by the today's people. But if you're seeing our shastras, we see that there are different types of weapons, but all these weapons cannot kill the spirit soul. They can only destroy the body, but not the soul. Yes, Mataji, continue.
Different kinds of weapons during Mahabharata war. It appears that there were many kinds of weapons made of earth, water, air, ether, etc., in addition to the modern weapons of fire.
That's what. It is just not that the weapons are only out of fire. They were made up of different elements. They used to pray the devatas of that particular Panchabhuta, and they get their blessings. And through their blessings, they can invoke the weapons. I think some of them must have seen, no, when we are watching Mahabharata or when we read that they keep meditating on the devata and they get a weapon and then they use it. So such were the powers, but we are in the Kali Yuga and we have lost all kinds of such powers. Today, our weapons are mostly like based on the fire, missiles, nuclear power, nuclear weapons. These are basically on the fire weapons, not on these subtle elements, right? Today, do we have any weapons that can cause tornado? No. We have any weapon that can cause a heavy rain? No. It is only based on the fire. Okay. Weapons of modern age.
Weapons of modern age. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons, but formerly there were other weapons made of all different types of material elements. Fire weapons were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to modern science, nor do modern scientists have knowledge of tornado weapons.
So that's how they used to contract. If somebody is putting the fire weapons, which we have seen, when we have seen these Mahabharata, you will see one of them will put one weapon, another one will put an, and then they get counteracted. Only when it cannot be counteracted, the weapon can go and kill the other side, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they cannot kill. But today, all our weapons are only based on the fire. These particular science is unknown for the modern science. Therefore, what do they say? Our Mahabharata, Ramayana and all, what name they are given us?
Mythology.
Mythology, something like
Mythology.
Harry Potter, right? Because they are given the word mythology because it is just our own story. I know some of the people, in TVs also nowadays, some Ramayana are going on, a pakka atheist, but they still watch Ramayana because they say that it's a nice story. Okay,
Commercial, they get money.
that is also just a story. They don't want to consider that to be a real. This is a history, itihas. Ramayana and Mahabharata are the itihas. But those itihas happened long time ago. Our history can only account for something like 2000 years. We don't have much idea beyond that. But the history, the Puranas, what do? The itihasas, they give us the history that happened like thousands and thousands of years ago. Like Ramayana, the Ram Leela happened something like lakhs and lakhs of years ago. Just because it happened long time back, that doesn't mean that it didn't exist. So therefore, they consider these things to be, a mythology. So they don't consider it to be serious. And their mind can also not work in such a way, to think on those lines. And they are mostly on the fire weapons. Okay. But there is a vast difference between the weapons of those age and the weapons of today. That's why Krishna used all these terminologies. Continue, Mataji.
Soul cannot be annihilated by weapons.
By any weapons, yeah. Sorry, there was a
Nonetheless,
yeah.
Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces, nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices.
So we may have many type of discoveries today, many devices we can have, but none of these devices can cut the soul. We may not cut the soul at all. Soul cannot be destroyed, indestructible. The word indestructible we are seeing in elaborate. We can never cut the soul, okay? Or by any weapons, okay? Continue, Mataji.
Failure of Mayavati to explain the following. The Mayavati cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual soul from the original Supreme Soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the Supreme Soul.
So they cannot explain how the individual souls come into existence. When the soul cannot be cut into the pieces, how can the individual soul got separated from the whole? But what does the Shastra says? The Shastra says that the individual souls are eternally separated part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. It is eternal, Sanatana. Parastasmastu bhavanyo vyakto vyaktat Sanatana. Krishna is using this word Sanatana in many places in Bhagavad Gita. He's using in the 15th chapter. He's using this word Sanatana in the 8th chapter. He's also using the word Sanatana in the 11th chapter. So we, the individual living entity, are always Sanatana. But we are eternally separated part of the Supreme Lord. Like we will also see an analogy going forward. But Mayavadis, out of the ignorance, they are not able to understand that. They just think that, Brahma Satyam, Jagat Nityam. Remember we saw about the Mayavadi philosophy long time ago when we discussed on the. They said that Brahman is real and the Jagat is Mithya. When the Brahman, when it gets in touch with the three gunas, when the Brahman gets touch with the Sattva guna, then the Brahman becomes Krishna. They say even Krishna is also subjected to the modes of the nature. They become Ishvara. And when the Brahman gets touched with the Rajogun, then the Brahman becomes a living entity. And when the Brahman gets in touch with the Tamogun, then it becomes a matter. So this is their particular understanding. Whereas the Shastras are also saying that, the soul is always present as eternally separated part of the Supreme Lord. And they have another analogy also, the pot analogy. They say that when we are seeing the moon, they say that the moon is also, the reflection of the moon is also seen outside the pot and within the pot. So what is that separating the reflection of the moon? Is only the wall of the pot. So this is the pot analogy they give, that everything is one. Just because we have the body now, like a pot has a wall which separates. So similarly, we also got separated. The analogy is good, but it is not in line with the Shastras, with the instruction which Krishna is giving to Arjuna. When he already spoke about the individuality of the soul, he says that I existed, I am existing, you're existing. And you existed, and you are existing, and you will exit. So when we are always existing, then what is the thing of the Mayavad philosophy, that we are all one? So that is also a failure. A Mayavadi principle is also a failure to establish the real position of the soul. So what is the correct understanding of the position of the soul? Continue, Mataji.
Correct understanding of the position of the soul. Because they are atomic individual souls eternally, Sanatana, they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord.
Okay, we already saw that the soul is very, very small, atomic souls. Although we are eternally with Krishna, but because of our smallest size, we are prone to be covered by the illusionary energy. Okay, Krishna is a whole and we are being the part and parcel. We are prone to be covered by the illusionary energy, and thus we become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. It is just because Maya. What is Maya? What is Maya means? That which is not.
real.
Yeah, that is Maya. In other words, anything that you are seeing separated from Krishna, that is Maya.
Maya.
Because that which is not, because we say that Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. Krishna is present in each and every atom. Then if you say that Krishna is not here, then how is that a real knowledge? Can we see anything if you are trying to see other than Krishna, then that is also a Maya. That's what Hiranyakashipu asked. Prahlad, is your Lord present in the pillar? What did Prahlad say? Yes, because of which Narsimhadev appeared from a pillar. We, the human beings, we can only appear from the womb of the mother, or even the animals, they can only come through the womb, right? But some entities can come through the egg, some living entity can come through other means. But how did the Lord appear? His appearance is different from our appearance. He appeared from the pillar. And as a Varaha, how did the Lord appear? He appeared from the nostrils of Brahma. From Brahmaji's nostril, he appeared so small, and he expanded and expanded and expanded himself so much that almost he became as big as the size of the earth. And with his tusk, he brought the earth. The earth was drowned by Hiranyaksha, and Varaha, he lifted the earth up, right? Even our own scientists, they say that previously the earth was covered by water. So this is also accepted by science, but they give a lot of other theories to see how the land came and everything. But the actual thing is, the Shastras, the Bhagavata Purana is saying that how the earth, which was submerged in the water by Hiranyaksha, that was lifted by the Varaha. Okay. Analogy. Mataji, continue.
Analogy. Just as the sparks of a fire, although one in quality with the fire, we are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire.
So we can see the spark of the fire. As long as the spark remains with the fire, it continues to burn. But as soon as the spark comes out of the fire, what will happen to the spark? The spark being so small, it will get immediately extinguished. So as long as we remain with Krishna, as long as we remain Krishna consciousness, we remain with Krishna, then our Sanatana, our living position of the eternal position of us will remain. The moment we come out of Krishna, the moment we try to take the position of Krishna to be the enjoyer, Krishna says, Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the enjoyer of all the sacrifices and he is the master of all the sacrifices. And we, the living entity, also wanted to become the enjoyer like Krishna. We thought, why only Krishna should be the enjoyer? Why can't I be the enjoyer? Therefore, because of this mentality, we got separated from Krishna. Although we are one in quality, because we being the part and parcel. The example is the drop of water in the ocean and the water in the ocean. They are same in quality, but different in quantity. Because the soul is always pure. Satchidananda Vigraha. The soul can never be contaminated, but it is the body. And it is a subtle body. Because of that covering that we are keep taking bodies after bodies. Repeated birth and death. It is just because of our subtle covering. Otherwise, their soul can never be contaminated. That's why Pandita Samadarshina. A Pandita sees every living entity in a same manner because he is only seeing the soul. He is not seeing the dress. Whether it is a dog or whether it is a Brahmana, he is just seeing only that spiritual spark. Okay. Reference, continue, Mataji.
Reference. In the Varaha Purana, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcel of the Supreme. They are eternally so, according to the Bhagavadgita also. So, even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate identity or is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna.
So the living entity is always separated. It is not, we are never being one with the Lord. So even after attaining liberation also, we will remain separated, but we will always remain in service to Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. We will be in our original constitutional position as a servant of Krishna, but our originality will always be there. We will always remain as a separate living entity. We will never become one with the God. Yes, there is one type of liberation which is called Sayujya, which becoming one with the Lord, merging with the Brahma Jyoti. But even that particular liberation is also shown because the Jiva does not have any activity there. So the Jiva will again come back to the material world and get into activities like philanthropists. They try to feed the poor. They try to open the hospitals, another thing. Because the Jiva needs an activity. The soul is active. You cannot remain inactive, right? The activity is always there. How long? Even if you're put in Himalayas, for some time you will feel happy. Maybe you will feel peaceful outside all the chaos of the Mumbai city, all the traffic pollution. But maybe in a longer term, you may not be able to sit there. That calmness and quietness can also be a problem for us, right? You may get bored, right? So, but you may try it. So similarly, Brahma Jyoti, it may be very peaceful, but because of no activity, then the Jiva is prone to come back to the material world. But those jivas who go to Vaikuntha or Goloka, Krishna says, na tad bhasiyate suryo, na shashanko na pavakaha, yadgatvana nivartante taddhama paramam mama. Once you come to my supreme abode, you will not go back to the material world. So this particular assurance, Krishna is giving us through Bhagavad Gita to us. Another assurance which Krishna is saying is, Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami nasucha. Abandon all varieties of dharma, which means don't do any dharma, any activities where you cannot remember Krishna, or where you cannot think about Krishna, or where there is nothing to do with Krishna. Sarvad mam ekam sharanam praja. Just surrender to me. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I will get rid of all your sinful activities. Moksha ishyami, and give you moksha. Do not fear. Ma suja. Krishna is also adding the word called do not fear. Okay. Because fear is one thing which is there in all the living entities and all the time. Whereas Krishna is saying, do not fear, I am there for you. Just surrender. Like a small child. As long as the child is small, the child is totally dependent on the parent. And the child is free from any kind of distress and anxiety. If you see a small child, you will not see the child with any anxiety or depression. But as soon as the child becomes big, the child becomes independent, separate from the parents, then what happens? All the frustration, everything comes up because you stop being dependent on surrender, right? So as long as we remain protected, then there's nothing to fear. So similarly, whatever the situation that is happening in our life, good or bad, we should always remain in the shelter of Krishna. We should always surrender to Krishna, because everything that Krishna is doing is only for our goodness, because he is Sukritam Sarvabhutanam. He is a well-wisher of all the living entities. We should, when Krishna is saying such words through Bhagavad Gita, we should have faith in his words. Maybe currently we are going through someone, but that is also for our own purification. Sometimes Krishna puts a particular living entity in distress so that out of frustration also some people, they may come to the path of spirituality. They may take the path of bhakti. So had Krishna would have not given that kind of a distressful situation to that particular living entity, then probably that living entity might have not taken Krishna consciousness. Right? So these are different ways. Sometimes everything that Krishna is doing for us is his mercy. Okay, good or bad, it is his mercy. So, continue, Mataji.
What happened after Arjuna received the knowledge? Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna.
Yes, after hearing all these Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna did not say, Karishye Vachanam Mama, I will do everything that you say. Arjuna did not think that he is a Krishna himself. So he never became one with Krishna. So this is a right understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Not that we will become one with the God. We are always the servant of the God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Dasa Dasanu Dasa, Gopi Bharta Padakamalayur, Dasa Dasanu Dasa. We are all the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. So this is our real position. Ultimately, every living entity is a servant. Either we serve Maya or we serve Krishna. So we need to choose whom to serve, whether to serve Maya or whether to serve Krishna. But the position of the servant can never be changed. Everybody who is trying to become the masters of the world, they are frustrated. Even a politician, he is forced to leave his body. He may be a chief minister, but if the death comes, is he not forced to leave that body?
Yeah.
So how can one remain the masters always? So if you're seeing the history, the kings, the great personalities, you will always see there is a date. For example, they are born in the year 1502 and they live till 1568, like that. There is always in the bracket, there is a period. Any dynasty, anything, are you seeing that they exist forever?
No.
Nothing exists forever. So we can never become the masters of the world. We are always the servants of the Krishna. Okay, we'll have a small discussion on the purport, whatever we discussed today. So we saw that different kind of weapons cannot affect the soul, right? The weapons due to the fire, the weapons that can cause tornadoes, the weapon that can give a lot of rains. None of these weapons can affect the soul. And we saw failure of Mayavadi to explain few points, like how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance, and how the individual soul got separated from the original Supreme Lord. These two things, they are not able to explain it properly. About the individuality of the soul, they cannot explain. And what is the correct understanding of the position of the soul? We as a soul are eternally the part and parcel of Krishna, separated part and parcel of Krishna. If we are covered by the illusionary energy in Maya, we will remain in the material world. And when this covering of Maya goes away, when we come out of our subtle body, then we will still remain separated, but where? In the Vaikuntha Loka, as the eternal servants of the Lord. And after going there, is there coming back? No. Krishna has given us an assurance. Yad gatvana nivartante taddama paramam mama. Once you come to my supreme abode, you will not go back to the material world again. And we saw the practical application. We saw the analogy of the fire, the spark of the fire. As soon as the spark comes out of the fire, because of its teeny tiny nature, it becomes extinguished. So similarly, we got separated from Krishna because of the illusionary covering of Maya. That's why we are undergoing repeated birth and death. Otherwise, we are eternal. This birth and death is not our real nature. But because we are covered by Maya, because we are considering ourselves to be the body, because of the unlimited desires that we are having, and because of the karmas that we perform, therefore we are taking repeated birth and death. And we are changing from one body to another body. Transmigration is happening. Okay. So Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received by Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna. So through Bhagavad Gita, we should understand that our real position is we are the servants of Krishna, not Krishna himself. Okay, so with this, we will finish today's class. And any questions, at least maybe one question, if anybody asks, we will take it from today's class. Or anything we have read so far? Is it clear?
Mataji,
Yes.
so it's mentioned that we are a part of the Lord, but at the same time, it says that we cannot be cut. I mean, the soul cannot be cut by weapons.
Correct.
So how do we understand?
Because we always remain as a separate part and parcel of Krishna.
Okay.
We are the part, and that individuality always existed. So previously, we were all serving Krishna in the supreme abode. But because some of us have developed the tendency to be the enjoyer, seeing Krishna, why only Krishna should be the enjoyer? Why can't I take the position of Krishna? So because of that, we are covered by Maya. And because of that, we have come out of this spiritual world and we are put into the material world. Basically, we want to take the position of the Krishna and forgot our eternal position as a servant of the Krishna. But as a separated soul, we always remain with Krishna as a part and parcel of Krishna. Our individuality is always there. It is not that we were one with Krishna and we got cut and became different. Okay? As a separated, even when we go back to the spiritual world, still we will remain as an individual. We will not become one with the Lord. But as a separated, for example, if there is a wealthy person, he will have several servants, right? Because he is wealthy, therefore he will have many servants. And what is the duty of all these servants? To serve that man, right? So similarly, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, Krishna needs many servants. So we, the jivas, are all the servants of Krishna to serve Krishna. Even a normal wealthy person, an ordinary wealthy person has like 50, 100, 200 servants. Krishna is a supreme Lord. He can have millions and trillions of servants. Correct?
Yes.
So this is our real understanding. We are all the servants of Krishna. Somebody can ask, why does Krishna need a servant? So we can also say, now, why does a wealthy person need a servant? If you go to Ambani's home, there will be 20 times, 30 times more servants than the number of people living, right?
Right.
So if it is for Ambani, why can't it will be much more for Krishna? That is the thing. Our position is always the servant of Krishna. As long as we understand our real position as a servant of Krishna, then we will be properly situated. When we think ourselves to be the enjoyers of this material world, then we will be prone to repeated birth and death, and that is only for our bodies. Although the soul is pure and nothing can be done to the soul. None of the weapons can distract the soul. And nothing can make the soul also impure. It is only the subtle covering, that impurities, right? For example, if you're taking a particular vessel, or as a mirror, when a mirror is covered with the dust, will you be able to see yourself?
No.
No.
So when you clean the mirror, will you be able to see yourself properly?
Yeah.
Yes. So it is like
That
that.
is bhakti.
That is
Cleaning
bhakti.
is
Bhakti
bhakti.
is cheto darpana marjanam. The soul is pure, but because of the contamination, we are not able to understand that Sachidananda Vigraha. We should be very happy. Satchit Ananda, eternity, bliss and knowledge. Even if we are able to understand even 1% of our soul, then we'll be so much happy. That's why you will see the devotees are always very blissful. Rajavidya, Rajagukyam, Pavitram, Pratyakshavagamam Dharmam, Susukam Kartum Avyayam. Krishna said that a person doing devotional service is always Susukam, is performing very joyfully. Now, this particular act of chanting and doing devotion to Krishna, are you doing joyfully or are you doing forcefully?
Joyfully.
Joyfully. If something is forceful, how can you do day after day, year after year? People are chanting for 50 years.
That is not
There are people
consistent.
who are attending Mangalarti each and every day for the last 50 years. Right? How can they go on and on if it is not giving us the bliss? Right? Because you go to the level of the soul. When you are going to that, you will feel automatically blissful. Like even in the chanting, there are 3 stages. Nama Aparad, then Nama Bhasha, Shuddha Nam. So when we are, first stage is the aparad. When we chant, we may chant, but we are chanting with many aparad, the 10 kinds of aparad that we discussed. Then Nama Bhasha. Nama Bhasha is we are free from aparad, but still we have not developed that love for Krishna. It's like the dawn. You will see some light. It's not dark, but you will not see the complete light. So that is Nama Bhasha. Shuddha Nam is complete bliss. You will see the devotees, those Guru Maharaj, when they are chanting, they are in complete bliss. Haridas Thakura could chant 192 rounds every day. On top of it, he could preach also. And Rupa Goswami is saying that, what is the use of just one tongue and 2 ears? We should have million tongues and trillions of ears to chant and hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is a bliss one should get by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They are pure devotees. That's how they attain the bliss. Otherwise, how can... And even Mahaprabhu told Haridas Thakura, now that you are becoming weak, your health is not good. He himself told him not to chant so many rounds. But in spite of that, Haridas Thakura said, till the last minute, he chanted his 192 rounds. That's why he's called as Namacharya Haridas Thakura, right? Although he was born in Muhammadan family. Right? So it doesn't matter which family you are born. the person who knows the science of Krishna consciousness, he can become a guru. That is the qualification to become a guru. Doesn't matter from which background you come. Right? That is Krishna consciousness. When you are coming in touch with Krishna, when you know the science of Krishna, you immediately become purified because you are coming in contact with the supreme pure. Correct? Because when you get into contact with the supreme pure, you become immediately, you also become purified. Right? So we should, that's why we should try to always associate with the devotees. And those, if we have an opportunity to associate with the advanced devotees, because they have surrendered their mind, kaya, vacha, manasa to Krishna, and being with their association, we can also be inspired to serve Krishna. Like if somebody wants to crack the, let's say that UPSC exam, they try to get in association of those people who have already cracked. They try to take some tips from them and everything so that they can also crack. So this is happening in all the, even within the material world, we try to, even there is a club for people who drink also, na? There's a club for everything. So similarly, that's why Prabhupada has started this society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, so that the devotees, they come together and they get associated and they get inspired and perform Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, everybody can just do in their own home. There's no need of any temple and anything. What is the need of the temple? What is the need of the congregation and everything? So that we can get in touch with the association of the devotees. Okay? That is very important. Devotee association is very, very important for us to advance in bhakti. Okay, we'll do the Narsimha Pranam mantra. You want to lead, Mataji? Anushka Mataji, please lead.
Okay.
Namaste Narasimhaya Prahladaye
Hiranyakashi
Purvakshapa Shilatanganakali
Ito
Narsimha
Parato
Parato
Narsimha
Narsimha
Yato
Yato
Yapi Tato Narsimha
Narsimha
Bhagi Narsimha Hridaye
Jaya Narsimha
Narasimha Made Charanam Prabhate Tava Kara Kamala Bhare Natapatuta Shringama Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai
Jagadish Hari
Jaya
Jagadish
Jaya Jagadish Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Narasimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad
Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya
Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya
Jai
Gurudev
Jai Gurudev Gurudev
Gurudev
Gurudev Jaya Jaya
Jaya
Gurudev
Gurudev भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक नरसिम्हा भगवान की जय भक्ति शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय वांछा
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की